Really, really think about that. I'm talking about not just in spurts, right, or minutes. I mean, like literally, it is impacting the systems of your life, your work, your relationships, how it is that you are caring for yourself day to day. So we just really, really, really have to be careful with that, because in our community, and everybody in here is black or of color, if I'm looking around and see, yes, all right, so we can speak on it like that. We culturally like to carry different things and continue to push, but I'm not encouraging you not to push. I'm also encouraging you to make sure that you are paying attention to yourself and when things are outside of what they look like normally for you.
Okay. I would also like to add, one of the things that I stress with my clients is being aware of your body and how your body responds, right? So oftentimes our bodies will let us know when something isn't right. So a lot of times I feel tension. I feel tension in my shoulders. I feel some sensations in my sternum area, and sometimes I get headaches. So that lets me know, all right, Crystal, you need to get yourself together. Because either you're feeling overwhelmed, you're stressed, or you're anxious, or whatever the case may be. So just recognizing and paying attention to the signs in your body.
Okay, all right. Good evening, everyone. So just as they mentioned, just really being fully aware of how your body is feeling physically, but also how you're feeling emotionally. You could have signs of irritability. If you usually are maybe a social person, you could be withdrawing from your friends and family, and that may not be like you. So just being aware of what your body is telling you. Is it telling you to slow down? Is it telling you to rest? So just really be intentional about listening to your body, and your body will tell you when to stop. So if you don't stop on your own, you will probably more than likely get sick, and you'll have to take a seat back.
And to add to that, what would you all suggest, or do you have some grounding techniques or quick tools that people could use in moments of heightened stress?
So in heightened stress, some quick grounding tools you can do, of course, is, when I used to practice, telling my clients to use their 5 senses. Everything could be a sensory experience. What are you seeing? Just take a moment to do some deep breathing. Getting outside is really helpful for your nervous system. Sometimes our nervous system can be overstimulated, so we may need to just take a pause, step outside, go on for a walk. Walking is scientifically, proven to help with just helping your mind to calm down. And it's so simple, so it's not something that costs a lot of money. It's just you making a decision to do something different. But movement, that is really good for your mood. Looking at something funny, I think sometimes as adults we forget to add laughter and play into our schedules and routine because our daily lives can be so hectic. So just doing some of those simple things and just scheduling that time for joy.
And I love the points that you made, because she talked about the senses, and it immediately made me think of the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method. And y'all can change this according to how it is that you like. What do I mean by that? Pay attention to 5 things that you can see, 4 things that you can feel, 3 things that you can hear, 2 things that you can smell, and 1 thing that you can taste. Okay? So really paying attention to those senses is a great grounding technique. And I want to also be able to use an old saying that you are what you eat. What do I mean by that, right? You are what it is that you consume. You know what I mean? I know everybody love to watch a little Love and Hip Hop, a little Married to Medicine. I know about some of these shows. I'm forced to watch them, unfortunately. But literally, Bad Girls Club, can't forget that one. Literally making sure that you're mindful of the things that it is that you are consuming. What are you listening to? What are you watching? What is it that you are telling yourself? It's also very much so important, right? So we have to be very careful of the lies that it is that we tell ourselves, because they can become our truths. So just be careful.
Another thing that I would like to add is earthing or grounding outside. So oftentimes I'll go into my backyard on a sunny day barefooted, and I'll just walk on the grass and taking deep breaths and slowly breathing in the air and taking in the sun. It's okay to get some vitamin D. I know it'll be hot outside, y'all, but you can go outside, okay, and take a walk. Something simple as such.
Perfect, thank you all. How can people create mental and emotional boundaries with social media, news, and conversations that feel overwhelming? I can. How can people create mental and emotional boundaries within social media, news, and conversations that feel overwhelming?
Ooh, the good old boundaries when it comes to social media. I would honestly say, in my clinical opinion and personal one, just be careful of the doom scrolling, right? I mean, there are folks that literally typically love to be able to just scroll and scroll and scroll, but also be careful about how it is that you start your day. I know countless people that as soon as they wake up in the morning, pick up their phone, right? Hit a social media icon, start scrolling their text messages, literally begin to consume content immediately. So being able to establish those boundaries. Also, making sure, look, y'all, I know everybody probably got a little somebody in here that they ain't blocked yet on their social media. I am encouraging you to pay attention to yourself, right? Because when you look at the things that you're looking at, is it something that is making you feel positively, or is it something that is enhancing an unfavorable or negative feeling, thought, or emotion? So just being mindful of the type of accounts that it is that you actively are looking at or following is a good boundary to be able to establish.
Yes, and when it comes to social media, you know, if you want to set boundaries with it, definitely follow accounts that you enjoy. I think I woke up or was online the other day and I was like, gosh, my feed is just like full of flowers or recipes. So, you know, consuming things that's healthy for you. But if you're going to be on social media, definitely set those limits and try not to just go down the hill of, you know, all the negative stuff that's going on, because it can be very overwhelming and it can be a lot to process. So when you find yourself maybe logging on to social media one way and then when you log off you might feel anxious or maybe comparing yourself to other people in this climate, that will be an indicator that, okay, I need to limit what I'm consuming each day.
And also related to that, this is also tying in, obviously, the uncertain political times and what's going on with our country at this present moment. So what are some early warning signs that stress or anxiety related to these current events, is becoming harmful?
Current events. We might need the pastor to come back up and pray for all of us. And I mean that. I really do. This is a tough question that I get very often, right? Because we have to continue to be mindful, and I want to encourage people to be very mindful of what it is that you can actually control. And that is you. It really is. It is you. So don't forget, you are the expert on your life and you are the captain of that ship. Always will be, right? So we have to be mindful of that and being able to protect ourselves, but also being able to limit what it is that you consume. If you honestly feel like that there is constant worrying, right? This is coming from just moments of when you're watching the news, but that worry or stress or anxiety is following you into your day and things of that nature, you have to be careful of how much you're consuming and what it is that you are worrying about. But don't be afraid to talk about these things either. We see folks internalizing a lot of things, right? But be able to find support the way that it is that you actually need it. So I say all that to say, yes, we need prayer and we still need that prayer, but being able to make sure that you're mindful, right, of how it is that you're feeling about these things, limiting what it is that you are looking at, right, and being able to take breaks. Right? Because it's okay to be able to function when you're just checking on these things, right? But if it's allowing you to not function, then it is impacting you more than it should. And that's when we need to maybe take a break from it.
Can y'all hear me? I'm gonna always reference body sensation and how our bodies get activated. So think about when you're scrolling on social media and looking at current events and all those things. I don't watch the news, me personally, because I know how it impacts my nervous system, how I think, my sleep. So even if I'm looking at it, I call my mom on news too. So if it's something I really need to know, I'm just gonna call my mom. Okay? oh, I'm a check in. So again, like Jaren was saying, just knowing your limits when it comes to political climate.
The same thing they said, and let's just be honest. The current climate is very heavy. It's overwhelming, and it can be oppressive. So just definitely limiting your time on watching the news, having conversations, and as Jaren stated, focusing on what you can control and what you can control in your own local community, because we can't control things at the state level. We can use our voice, but at the same time, you have to put those boundaries in place to protect your peace.
And the next question, and this is a good one. When should someone consider seeking professional help, and what are some barriers people are facing in doing so? And I know that all of you all are in your, have your own private practices. So, all right, come on.
Now, when you go to your doctor, just like you go to the doctor for checkups, exams, you go to the eye doctor, you get your teeth checked, we gotta do the same thing for our mental health, y'all. We gotta take it serious. I go to my doctor with a whole list. She already knows, Ms. Bristol or Ms. Robinson, what you got for me today. And I list those questions, I let her know how I'm feeling. I'm getting older now, I'm in my mid-40s, and so menopause and stuff like that. So I let her know. So being honest with your doctor, and a lot of times, well, at least my doctor does, she'll give me like a PHQ-9, like a depression scale to kind of check in to see how I'm feeling. So ask those questions, and you're not gonna know the answer if you don't ask. There's no dumb question. If you don't know, you just don't know. Okay?
And I know I'm not on the panel, but I'm going to answer this question too. So I work for an insurance agency company. And so part of my job is connecting members with mental health providers. So contacting your insurance company and asking for a list of mental health providers that are local to you. And you can be specific, because I ask members specific questions. Do you want a certain provider of a certain gender? Do you want a therapist of a certain race or ethnicity? And so they are out there, obviously. So you can definitely ask for that. And also, a lot of your companies that you work for, they have employee assistance programs. And, they're not going to get in your business. I know you might think they will. They're not. And those services are free. So it might be either 6 to 12 free therapy sessions. So I encourage people to utilize those.
And knowing when to seek help, to go back to the first part of that question, just really being aware of how you're feeling. If you have usually been withdrawn, if you're feeling fatigued and you really can't pinpoint what it is, that's when it might be time to talk to someone. If you're feeling anxious, on edge, irritable, and these things can last usually over 2 weeks. So if you're kind of feeling that way between 2 weeks and more, that will be time to just check in with someone, a professional, to seek help. But some of the barriers to finding help is really not knowing who to call, where to call. As Tasha mentioned there, you can check with your local job, your EAP. Usually HR has those resources and benefits for you. There are plenty therapist directories out here. Asking your local physician, they have resources. It's so many different resources out here now that from low cost to free, that you can actually get the help that you need.
And I want to add to that, and I want to be very vulnerable and transparent right now. Just going back to the initial question, like when to consider or seek help, I will add that about 2 years ago, I was at a place where I just couldn't function in my everyday life. I couldn't sleep. I was waking up at night, in the middle of the night. I was, reaching for my phone and things of that nature. And I worked in a field where I worked with child welfare. So I was constantly triggered and constantly on edge about, did I feed this child? Did I do X, Y, and Z? And I did. At some point, I felt I needed to seek help. And so after I did that, I felt a weight lifted off my shoulders. Now, I did seek help at that time, but also knowing that that's temporary, because once I made a decision that this work is too overwhelming and I can no longer take this work, I was able to transition into something different, and that wasn't long lasting. So definitely just being aware of your situation, your own mental health, and prioritizing it.
Y'all good. Oh, y'all. Shoot. Okay. So what I'll say to add to what all these ladies have so eloquently put out there is to just be mindful of one thing. You do not have to be falling apart to go and see a therapist, okay? People really honestly look at it like that. Oh, I gotta be on my last leg, and you know what, I'm really just constantly falling apart. Now I need to go and see somebody. Go and see somebody before that happens. Go and see somebody now when you feel like that everything is going pretty well, to be honest with you, because that non-biased private check-in is super important. And for those that don't know, everything you talk about with a therapist is strictly confidential. They can't talk about anything that y'all talk about on those four walls or those virtual four walls with anybody else without your consent, unless it pertains to plans or intentions of harming yourself or harming somebody else. So when you talk about when you get to work tomorrow and you're gonna get Keisha in the break room, we're gonna have to call Keisha and let her know you're coming, all right? So just be mindful of that. But also in seeking services, just when you're feeling a little bit stuck, right? Within a certain emotion, feeling, or in your life, and you're just unable to be able to use the skills that help you, right? Because everybody in here is different and unique. The skills that are helping you just are not as effective as they used to be. It's always great to be able to get a professional opinion, for sure.
And just to add, so that COVID was kind of a little bit helpful with some things. So it offered the opportunity for therapists to provide virtual services. So if you're not able to go in person, you might be able to pop in on a session during your lunch break in your car virtually. So a lot of providers offer virtual as well.
So the next question is, what message of hope or encouragement would you like to leave with? So I'm gonna do that one last. I'm sorry, I'm gonna take that back. What are some early warning signs that stress or anxiety related to the current events is becoming harmful to an individual?
So yeah, when we say current events, the political current. Yeah.
These current events, y'all just want me to keep taking this. It's hard, y'all. I mean, let's just be honest. It just is what it is, and it's okay to be able to name these emotions, right? And what it is that's going on. Don't ignore that, right? Ignoring it is not going to fix it, and it's not going to fix us. So we have to be able to name those emotions. But when it comes down to anxiety and stress and those signs of what it looks like, especially in these political climates, be mindful of worrying too much about different things, right? Pretty often, right? Not being able to stop or control worrying is pretty often as well. I'm going through the G87 a little bit. Of course, irritability, restlessness, right? Not being able to relax at all. Feeling as if some harm is going to come to you or something bad is going to happen. These are feelings that become consistent. So watch the consistency, right? It does take some mindfulness, y'all. Paying attention to what you're thinking, how you're feeling, and how you are behaving. That's so important. It is so important to make sure that you're laying eyes on yourself. Why? Because culturally, in our community, we're just taught to push through, right? And pray about it, right? But I also was told coming up that faith without works is dead, right? So work on yourself. Work on your relationships. Work on your self-care. Work on your happiness. Make sure that when you're praying that you're also putting in that work, because that's important as well, okay?
I think it all goes to knowing your boundaries, what you can and can't control, and you're going to hear us say that a lot. Boundaries and knowing what you can and can't control. We can't control what's going to happen in the White House. We can't control certain law. Well, yes, we can because we can go out and vote. So we can't control that. But there are some things that we literally cannot control. What we can control is how am I going to start my day, finish my day, make the best choices for me and myself and my family and my mental health. Self-care, being mindful of, again, activation in my body. Is my mind racing? Am I wondering, like, what's going to happen next? What's going to happen with my finances? I don't know. Are they going to take my benefits or what? Well, let's take a moment and let's ground ourselves. And if there are questions that we don't know, we ask. I'm always saying ask questions. Questions are the gateway to revelation. Okay? And so just being mindful of that.
And And this is to add on to that question. Do you all have maybe 2 to 3 simple habits that we can start this week to work on protecting our peace, things like that? And I know some of you have some literature and some books that you have so you all have some habits, something.
So one of my simple habits is just practicing gratitude, just being thankful for what I already have. And it can be the small things. I think a lot of times we think something big has to happen for us to, have an aha moment, but it's really just practicing gratitude. Another simple habit of mine is spending time with people who bring me joy, who make me feel good. I do not like to be around people who drain me, who constantly complain. So those are just some simple habits that you can practice starting today if you don't. And scheduling time for joy, put yourself on your calendar. Find something that you like to do, whether it's watch sunsets, listen to music, taking yourself out to eat to a nice restaurant, getting dressed up. It doesn't have to be the big moment. It could be really the small things that you make a big moment.
And I will share a typical day for me. So I typically wake up around like 5:30, 6 o'clock, and I go to the gym. The gym helps me mentally and physically. I don't know what it is. It grounds me. And it prepares me for today to get my blood flowing. If I don't go to the gym, I'll go to the park. A simple walk on the park, walking to the stop sign down the street, any of those things. Now the way I end my day, because I carry so much with clients and it weighs heavy on me sometimes, can't nobody call me until like 7:30, 8 o'clock. I have to have that limit because number one, I can't be answering your questions. I can't be solving your problem. I'm your daughter, I'm the sister, so I can't mix the two and try to be your therapist, but I can refer you to somebody. So just thinking about simple things, what am I needing? What is going to help me to decompress? What is going to help me to stay calm? What is not going to stress me out? Now, we don't want to wake up in the morning and you seeing texts and you responding to folks and arguing with your husband and your boyfriends and wives. No, good morning. Do you want to go take a walk? Read a verse or two. Drink some coffee, some tea. Any of the simple things like that can be a great start to your day.
Definitely drink that coffee and tea, for sure. And when it came down to 2-3 simple habits, and no. Y'all are doing great, by the way. I love this. And when I was thinking about what you said about the struggle, the first habit that came to mind, block them. Habit number 2, block them again on the other device. And habit number 3, block their email. Do that. To stop that. I'm joking, but I'm serious, y'all. Like, we have to be aware of what it is that we're allowing into our lives. I like to think of boundaries like a toll bridge around a castle, right? You have to lower that bridge in order to be able to let certain things into your life, and then later we complain about those things. Oh, they're getting on my nerves. I don't know why I continue to deal with you. You know what I mean? Why are we still friends? You know? It's because you allowed that person into your life and you allowed for them to be able to remain, right? So really think about that. I want everybody to be able to think about those habits moving forward through this rainy weekend that we'll have, right? Who are you lowering your bridge for to allow into your life, into your space, right? And who is it that you've done a good job in being able to protect yourself from, right? Those things are important as well in order to be able to give yourself some praise in that area. So block them, and watch who you let into your castle. Okay?
Well, we're going through these questions. In a moment, we'll be able to open the floor for you all to ask questions and have discussion as well. So thank you all for being patient. All right. How can individuals tell the difference between staying informed and becoming emotionally overwhelmed? Because I think there's a kind of a fine line with that.
I mean, I honestly think that staying informed allows you to be able to function, and being emotionally overwhelmed messes with your ability to be able to function. So we've been saying it this entire time. like really making sure that you all pay attention to yourselves. Because when it does come down to functionality, is this affecting my ability to be able to live my life the way that it is that I desire to? Is it affecting my happiness, right? Is it affecting my job? Is it affecting how I care for my partner, how I communicate, how I care for my children, how I care for myself? So just remember that. I think that when it comes down to anything, I think being informed allows you to function. Being emotionally overwhelmed impacts your ability to be able to function.
And even when it comes to like advocacy and wanting to volunteer and participate in certain events, there are other ways that you don't have to overextend yourself and not be present. Do a donation, send out some emails, something that's less stressful that you don't have to like overextend yourself.
I would say with the being emotionally overwhelmed, just again, listen to your body. How does your body feel? And as Crystal mentioned, there are plenty of ways to support and not feel like you're overcommitting yourself. So knowing what your boundaries are, if you feel like, okay, I'm getting all this information, I just can't do it, figure out what your boundary is around that. How can you support in a different way? Like she said, maybe sending out an email or putting bags together, but maybe not actually showing up to the event where you may be overstimulated, because we never know what someone is dealing with. So it's just always nice to be kind to people as well, because you never know what someone is dealing with.
Thank you all for that, because the next question was, how can individuals stay engaged and advocate for a cause, but not experience burnout? So y'all gave the answers of just making sure that maybe volunteering or, doing or on an event, but not showing for that event, or donating to that event. Any other ways that you can think of?
My favorite word to say, no. I'm not available. My schedule is full. Being able to be honest, y'all, about what it is. There are a lot of folks, and I know everybody in here is a part of various organizations or give in any kind of way. It is okay to be able to say no. I promise. You are not going to spontaneously combust. You are not. No, nobody is going to be in distress if you say no. Know what it is that you are able to give, right? Because what good are you to help other people if you're not okay yourself? You have to make sure that you're managing that well and protecting those boundaries by simply being able to say no. Those that sit on committees or in leadership positions, be able to make sure that you are delegating, right? If you're unable to do that, this is what people are here to help. You don't have to be superwoman all of the time. It is okay to allow people to be able to help you also. Yeah. And once again, tell them no.
Yes, saying no. And then also when you are giving and pouring out to others, you want to give from when your cup is full. You have to give from the overflow. So that's what you should be giving to people and giving to others, and how you should be serving.
Now, they will guilt trip you. I will say that. Okay, they will get frustrated. They will get frustrated. They'll be like, well, why you ain't do such and such? Can you? No, tag, I'm not in. Tag somebody else. Okay? So having that boundary in place is important.
All right. So we are just about done with this. We have one more question. If you all had any message of hope or encouragement, what would you like to leave the audience with? Just some hope or encouragement.
So my hope of encouragement with you all that I would like to share is to be kind to yourself, show yourself some grace and compassion. Know that whatever situation that you're in, it is temporary, that it won't always be like that, and you are going to have more good days.
It's okay to pause and rest. We as Black women, we want to do so much for everybody and do every single thing, but it's okay to give yourself permission to pause, rest, ground yourself, and then reset. I
would say honestly to be honest about what it is that you deserve in your life. You deserve happiness. You deserve rest. You deserve to be supported. You deserve to not be in negative situations. Look, it's a majority, primarily a black female crowd. Look, black women are usually valued for how much that it is that they can carry, but not too many people stop to ask you how heavy it is. So really, you all just please take care of yourselves. Like, you are highly valued, you are very much so important, and you're definitely valuable to our communities and to your families. So be mindful of what it is that you deserve. Make sure that you take an opportunity to not have to carry everything and take breaks when they're most appropriate for you.
All right, I'm gonna come on down to the audience. Oh, y'all got it? Okay then. I'm not coming down. So for those of you who have questions, they have it. So please feel free to ask anything. This is a judgment-free zone.